terms of quality of support, it's essential. The business support and the funding through our business partners that we receive, that the game receives through sponsorship and commercial deals, is the lifeblood of the game, in terms of sustainability, in terms of its ability to develop and grow. Certainly from our perspective in the RPA, our corporate partners allow us to broaden the reach of what we do, increase the number and type of provisions we can put in place for players. I'm an example of that as a player development manager. I was one of the sort of 3 to 4 PDMs. We've just got a 7th. We're growing. We're planning on going to 1 PDM per club, because I think in terms of individual support, and when it comes to welfare, when it comes to education, when it comes to being proactive as well as being reactive to different circumstances that come up as a consequence of individuals living a life at the top, the provisions and support that we get from businesses enable us to do our job more effectively. So rugby-friendly organisations, businesses, networks of business, they all have a massive role to play. And I think in terms of the culture of the game, being professional, growing as a professional sport, it's going to become more and more important because it is a rugby business and it is no longer the amateur era of yesteryear, where we lean on a family friend or a friend of a friend. It's we've got deliverables, we've got targets, just in the same way that players have. So we're talking the same language when it comes to business support, and certainly I think every rugby organisation involved with the game will be keen to engage with rugby-friendly businesses and organisations. My playing career, I played at Loughborough University, had a sports scholarship, very lucky to get one, and I was playing, that scholarship basically involved me playing at Leicester Tigers as well as Loughborough University. And unfortunately I had to stop at the age of 21 really before my career got started because of head injuries, so my career was cut short because of injury. Good question. It's hard. It's a real test on your character. I think the biggest thing for me, and certainly what I recognise in a number of players that I'm working with, is that sense of identity that you have with the game. You're very proud of it. When people ask about what you're doing and how's it going, you'll willingly talk openly about how it's going because it's great and you really enjoy it. There's a sense of integrity around the game, and it stands for something. So having that taken away from you and trying to reinvent yourself in another space that involves different skill sets, that is unknown language, that is you don't have that sense of confidence, it takes time, and it's a huge test of character, and it's not something to be taken lightly. My role as a player development manager is to deliver the player development programme, the RPA player development programme, at 2 Premiership clubs. That is really to understand exactly where each individual player at those clubs are. And when I say individual player, we're talking about 18 all the way through to the mid-30s if they're lucky enough to get there. So it's a full range. We're trying to understand exactly what those individual players are thinking about doing when they finish playing rugby. And if they haven't thought about them, get them thinking about it. And if they've already thinking about it, then move them on further. So when push comes to shove and they have to face what myself and a plethora of other people have had to face in terms of stepping out of professional sport, they feel far more resilient, confident in themselves, and have already got a sense of identity, to a certain extent, in a different pair of boots, different pair of shoes. I think it'll vary for the individual. I think I don't think I can give you a straight answer to that, just purely simply because I think there is always an element of panic when you step out of the game. That sense of, what do I do? And these players week in, week out are dealing with unknowns in terms of when they walk on the pitch, but they have a process and a structure in place that they can follow, and within that process and structure, they know their talent and they have confidence in that talent, so that gets them through. Stepping out of that bubble, if you like, means that the structures and the processes aren't necessarily there, they're not as clear cut, and their talents and their strengths and their confidence in that tend to sort of diffuse out or fall between the gaps. So our role here is to try and help provide those structures and processes in terms of the types of things that they need to be working on, positive outcomes, steps that they can take to really minimise the risk of feeling completely at loss, but having some stepping stones to be able to walk through that initial period into what everybody else is doing, which is sort of following their gut and taking themselves as far as they can go. Well, as part of the individual development plans that we create with each individual player, we identify them the kind of area that they're looking to go into. I want to say kind of area, industry or career pathway. Some of them are very set in what they're thinking about. Some of them have absolutely no idea. So a lot of what we're doing is career exploration, which is where the networking comes in. That old saying of it's not what you know, it's who you know, that's gone out the window now in the current recession, the climate. Players have to know what they're doing. They also need to know who can do it for them or help them with that. And I think the plans inform us around the kind of exploration and discovery we can work on with the players in terms of different industries. That will also then inform the kind of qualifications and training and skills that they need to step into potential pathways or different roles. And also in terms of personal development, the kind of life skills that they need while they're playing to help enhance what they're going to potentially do when they finish playing. And I mean, underpinning all of that, the association here is to not only protect but also promote the interests of elite players. So the welfare side of what we do is massive, and that goes on sort of it goes on throughout everything that we do. So we're always picking up different work and having to react to different circumstances based on, you know, life happening to individual players.